But what a dominant day for that 18 of Paul Ross, Finian, just absolutely killing it out there on raw pace. Checkered flag is in the air, and Peter Short comes out of the final corner, turn 16, will cross the start-finish line for his 5th win on the season.
14 laps to go, and Johnny Thomas is going to jump out into the lead again. There's Mickey going to try to chase him down.
I still think that Zielinski is in an offensive position right now. Will it be Ross, Zielinski, Thomas, or Short? It's going to be an all-out battle here tonight at Homestead. You're going to have to use everything from the apron to the wall if you want to come out on top here tonight. It's not going to be enough to simply avoid mistakes. You're going to have to get your elbows out and go take it.
A visit to Homestead Miami Speedway means a visit to the end of the season, and tonight, the 3-Wide League, the Nathan Young Designs Truck Series, brings it home. One final race, a 21st round, to decide the champion for the 2018 season. And Finian, it's been a great season. We picked these guys up at race number 5 back in Mount Panorama Circuit, and here we are tonight back in Florida, and we're on this high-banked 1.5-mile racetrack and getting ready to settle the score between 4 amazing competitive drivers.
Yeah, the season started in March. We picked them up in April, and ever since then, it's been a huge fight, mainly between 2 guys, but right now we have 4. It's been, throughout the season, it's mainly been a battle between Paul Ross in the 18 and the 22 of Peter Short, but joining them also with a great chance at winning this still is Levi Zielinski in the 59 and Johnny Thomas in the 83.
Well, it's been a fantastic season. In pre-race practice here, Finney, these guys were lined up 1, 2, 3, and 4, and again, tonight, the highest finishing driver of those championship 4 is the one that's going to take home that trophy and also $25 cash for winning the championship race. So we're keeping an eye out to see who's going to be the quickest, but early predictions, Ross has been on a hot streak lately, has won 2 races in the latter part of the season, but again, you can't really fight with the pick of Peter Short, the number 22 Kansas City Southern Tundra. 5 wins on the season, and he's been a dominant force the whole time.
Yeah, we're going over the statistics. And actually, the only driver out of the 4 who are contending who doesn't have a win is Levi Zielinski in that 59. So he's almost the underdog looking into this if you look at it on paper. But he's been strong all year long, but just hasn't been able to get that win in.
And as we conclude qualifying here in about 2.5 minutes, you look at Levi Zielinski on top of the board, and he actually beat out Paul Ross, who is done. He's taken his 2 laps, and it looks like the 22, Peter Short, has not yet taken his laps, but he's out on track right now. And it's 117 laps here tonight, Finian. How important is starting position here at Homestead Miami?
Well, you can ask Peter Short because he just took the pole position at the moment by a decent time too, 600 by 600 hundredths of a second. So solid qualifying effort there. But yeah, qualifying position is going to be pretty tough because this track today is pretty slick. Temperatures are high and it's a hot surface, so a lot of guys are going to be sliding around. You can see 110 degrees track temperature, so it's going to be a little slick, a little sliding, and that's going to mean it's going to be hard to pass for these guys.
Yeah, of course, 110 degrees is extremely hot, and these Goodyear tires are going to get really, really hot and slick, especially in the latter part of the run. But we saw Paul Ross last week in a nice, cool, actually it was a couple weeks ago, nice, cool Chicagoland, taking an easy victory there, walked away from the field. But the conditions here are much different, and he actually, I don't want to say he struggled in qualifying, but the 3 guys he's fighting in the championship are, well, I was about to say they're 1 through 3, but then Tate Lytle jumped up there into second in that number 56 truck.
Yeah, solid job by Tate Lytle. He's also been a guy who's been pretty strong in some races, but nice solid second at the moment.
Looking good. So we have about a minute left in qualifying, and the championship 4 have all taken their qualifying times. And there's only a couple of trucks left out on the racetrack currently going for times. Richard Lafferty just pulled off. James Miller in 7th. It looks like he's finishing up a lap here, as well as Matt Grunberg in the 54. Homestead Miami, Finian. It's progressively banked, and the top and the bottom are all great places to pass. But where are you on the last restart here? Are you picking top or bottom?
Honestly, I would say probably take the top side, to be honest, considering how hot it is. Again, it kind of depends on, at that point in time, how rubbered up the surface gets, because we were seeing through practice the times pick up more and more as more rubber was being put down. You can even see there from the blimp shot, you can see how dark the turns are compared to the straightaways. But I would say, honestly, probably the top side, because you're turning less, so you're going to face the slick track a little bit less. So you have a less of a chance to slide the tires, so I think it'll be a little more comfortable on that point.
We're taking one final look at our 2018 championship bracket, and we've stepped it down significantly, and Ross and Short have taken good use of their first round bye and have gone all the way to the championship four. But here tonight, all it is whoever can finish in front of the other, and Peter Short's starting on pole, and that's he doesn't have to pass anybody. If he can just hold that spot out front, he would be your 2018 champion. As qualifying concludes here, I want to give a huge shout out to Thomas Morris from 3Wide and 3WideRacing TV, as he is the guy that helped me out and helped me put the drivers' names in the colored form for playoffs and chase races. It took me months to even remotely get anywhere, something that even was usable, and he came in here and helped me out, and it looks fantastic. And I want to give Thomas another huge thank you, especially sharing from another broadcasting group. That's not something you see a lot, so I want to give a huge thank you again to him. But as we get gridded up and ready to go here, Finian, I guess it's a cop-out to say the 22 is my favorite here, but Paul Ross has been so strong lately and carrying a lot of momentum into this race.
Yeah, and I think those are two good picks, but I'm still liking Levi Zielinski. He's a man who barely found his way in here. He's been, again, strong all season, just had some bad luck along the way, but through, I'm not trying to sound like Rick Allen here, but through adversity, he was able to break into the top four, and he's been pretty fast in practice too, so I think he might have a good shot.
You see your running order, your starting order, scrolling across the bottom of the screen there, Finian, and tonight, again, the starting position probably doesn't matter a whole lot because of the ability to pass at this racetrack is so much greater than a lot of other racetracks we run, especially compared to Chicagoland just a few weeks ago. That was hard to pass there. We saw that race go green for a very long time, and drivers really struggled to gain an advantage on their opponents because there was so much grip. But here tonight, it's hot, it's slick, the drivers like it that way, and with the multi-groove racetrack, it's certainly going to be a lot of fun. Waiting for a couple more guys to grid up and go racing here, Finian. 117 laps, fuel window, probably 40 to 50 laps in is probably when you're going to see people start to come down, but I expect to see some green racing here tonight, and I think there's a lot of guys that would like to see it go that way, Peter Short being one of them, especially with his pace so far tonight.
Yeah, definitely. So we have, I believe, 22 trucks here who are going to take the green flag for this final race of the season, and again, can't say enough how great of a season this has been to cover with 3Wide. We were glad that they picked us up to broadcast the rest of the season because it's been a blast. There have been some fantastic races.
It has been a great year, and there were some moments where we spent a lot of nights under yellow, but there has been other fantastic races that we've broadcasted here on this channel, and since we started working with them, we've grown immensely as not only commentators, but as a broadcasting group as a whole. Our graphics package has gone through 3 different iterations since we started this. Our logo's changed 3 times. We have a new one here tonight that I have not yet updated in the top right-hand corner, so that's excellent of me. But yeah, it's been a phenomenal ride here tonight, and again, it's great to culminate a season on such a high note. And watching this race tonight, I have been excited all week. Made that trailer video that popped out on YouTube a couple days ago, and we're just about to dive into a couple weeks of a lot of broadcasts. So it's good to get these guys off while we're still not hating our lives here, because the next couple weeks are going to be very, very stressful for us. But tonight, it's all about walking away with the championship. And Peter Short and Paul Ross, the drivers to beat for sure, although Ross has got to do some passing before he can contend with that 22.
Yeah, you can see all of them lined up and all ready to go for the final time in 2018. At least in the truck series, these guys have a cup race tomorrow night. But for the trucks, they come out of turn 4, the pace car is going to pull in, and we're getting ready to go green.
Pace car is going to pull off, and the field will be left in the hands of Peter Short in the Kansas City Southern Tundra. Green flags in the air for the final race of the season here for the Nathan Young Designs Truck Series.
And Short got a fantastic start. Unfortunately, Lytle didn't get as good of a start. He's going to fall back, maybe fall back even to 4th.
And Johnny Thomas wasted no time dropping to the inside to get around a couple of his opponents, and is going to move up to 3rd already through turns 1 and 2. A great start for that 83 truck.
Here comes Paul Ross right behind him, though. He's going to try to get around Tate Lytle, and that will put our championship 4 almost in the top 4.
They're all inside the top 5 right now. You see Ross going to the middle of the racetrack. You see drivers fanning out already. That's James Milner, 52, all the way up against the wall. Don't scrape it there. It's a little early to be doing that. Taking care of your stuff. You see, look at Paul Ross, middle, 3 wide down the front straight, and that's Johnny Thomas on the outside.
Yeah, Thomas cleared Ross right in front of him, almost cut his nose off, but here comes Ross to the inside.
You see on the left-hand side of your screen, the ticker, the driver's lit up in red. The one that's highest up on that ticker, lit up in red, will be your champion at the end of the night. So keep an eye on that battle. But already, Thomas and Ross engaged in an intense battle on lap number 2.
Yeah, it looks like Ross is going to lay off for the moment, but Chuck Sweeting and Gruenberg are right behind, and they're pretty strong.
Interesting to see the whole field kind of going to that center lane and kind of running nose to tail like that. I thought we'd see some more multi-groove racing, but I think once the tires wear out, you'll see more of that. But look at Levi Zielinski closing in on Peter Short's rear bumper.
He's going to try to close in, but again, it's going to be a little bit tough to pass considering how slick it is. He can't entirely fall out of the groove too much, otherwise he's going to risk losing a lot of grip and start sliding around, and you don't want to use up your tires this early on in the run.
And Zielinski was extremely fast in practice, actually topped practice, I believe. So he is quick here tonight, and you're going to look back and you see the 83 of Johnny Thomas on the move. And we were mentioned before, Finian, when we were talking as we watch a battle for the lead just in front of him, is Thomas has not had the season that the other 3 drivers have had. I know Zielinski hasn't won a race and Thomas has, but if you look at Zielinski's performance throughout the year, Zielinski's had a much better season, and Thomas has not had the raw pace that we've seen out of Ross and Short, but here he is, and he's battling and putting on a show, and this is really the only race that matters.
Yeah, and here he's right on the back bumper. A Short almost gives him a shove into 3, and these guys still have a long ways to go as far as who's going to win at the end. But again, it's looking like it's going to be between these 2 at the moment as they're nose to tail, and you can barely fit anything between them.
Down the front straightaway off into turn 1, and you see, guys, maybe that outside groove becoming more and more popular as the race goes on. Look at Zielinski driving in deep right to the rear bumper. You're going to see a lot of close quarters racing here tonight. Down the long back straightaway here, and this is one of those tracks that both ends look like they're identical, but they kind of drive a little bit differently, Finney. I think 3 and 4, I kind of tend to underdrive the exit. It's a little bit wider than you might think, but turns 1 and 2 can grab you if you're not paying attention.
Yeah, it really depends on your driving style. You see some guys going a lot closer to the wall than others, such as the 18 of Paul Ross. He was right up against it as he came out of 4 that time.
Lap 6 of 117, and we have not really separated the front group. Short has not been able to run away. In the draft here in these trucks, there's a lot of on-throttle time here at Homestead in the trucks, and looks like the draft is an important factor. But look at, you see just behind this group as we watch the battle for the lead continue, Ross has actually fallen off a little bit, about a half second from Johnny Thomas in front of him.
And again, that's not too big of a sign of disjointment, because he can still stick in it. He's still in 5th, although he is under battle right now with Gruenberg in the 54. And you see Johnny Thomas looked like he was going to go into the inside a lot, but here comes Gruenberg behind under Paul Ross trying to take that position away.
And Zielinski and Thomas got to put on a great show tonight. Again, Short has 5 wins on this season and Ross has 3. The other 2 have a combined 1 victory. That'd be Johnny Thomas's win. I believe it was back at Eldora that he won. So it's been quite a while since Thomas has seen victory lane. But again, he's putting on a heck of a performance here early at Homestead around the outside of Lytle. Look, Lytle's loose on the inside.
And again, that's what we're talking about, that slick track coming into play there. It's really hard to get out of the groove, and that's where you're seeing everyone kind of running all single file the way they are, because they're trying to stick where all the rubber's been laid down, where it's nice and grippy.
Zielinski gave a shot to the rear bumper of Peter Short down on the front straightaway, pushed him down that front stretch there, and rocked him off into turn 1, and Zielinski's really looking aggressive, but maybe just biding his time here just a little bit. I think he could have passed, but you know who's not waiting is Johnny Thomas. He immediately after the green flag dropped to the inside, past 2 trucks, and here he is looking for second on Zielinski.
Yeah, it looks like Zielinski's trying to be a little bit more patient. He realizes that it's more about winning the war than the battle, but Thomas is trying not to waste any time and feels like that he has enough tires to get around both of them and try to take the lead of this race.
And it's hard to pass. I mean, and it's hard to pass at any track, and it'll be a little bit easier tonight than it was at Chicago a few weeks ago. But, I mean, you got fresh tires. Go for it now, and once it wears out, people will be struggling to make the speed that they were at the beginning of the run. So I applaud Johnny Thomas's effort to get up here and try to make something happen while he's still got the handling in the truck.
You can see already 2 different lines. And how about Paul Ross also all the way up towards the wall? Trying to find any speed. He's kind of struggling at the moment.
And that line will pick up later in the race. You'll see the top line become more and more dominant as the race picks up, as the inside line rubbers in and the grip begins to fall away. That outside groove is going to become more and more attractive, especially later in the run.
was going to say, especially if he keeps putting rubber down there like he has been, so that's probably what he's trying to set up for.
I think you're right. I think he's trying to drag people up there with him to rubber in that track, because if it doesn't get any use, it's going to be full of marbles, and that'll be slick later in the race. You see Zielinski actually running about a half lane up from where Peter Short is, and look at Johnny Thomas all the way on the white line. Multi-groove racing here at Homestead.
Let's say it's a beautiful track, and it puts on fantastic racing with stock cars. But yeah, so far really calm at the moment, pretty single file, but everyone's still really close together.
Especially the front three. We haven't really taken much time to look back at the rest of the field here, but I assure you there's racing going on. Here's Thomas Morris battling with Richard Lafferty in the 08 truck back here. This is for 14th place. Remember, Morris was only one spot shy of being in this championship four, and how much a week changes things.
Yeah, definitely so. And also nice to see Dylan Hickey. He's finally back. He took a little hiatus. I haven't seen him in a while, so nice to see him back in the number 7.
And just in front of him, Nathan Velez and Sam Close. Sam Close, another guy that's had one heck of a season, but just missed out. Made the playoffs, but was not able to continue on into the later stages, and is now running 11th right now. Of course, Tanner Sharp right in front of him. Kevin Jadrosich and James Miller inside the top 10 with Chuck Sweeting, and here's a guy that has needed some luck and so far running well here tonight.
Yeah, he's running well. Unfortunately, he doesn't have the red banners on, but he's doing a solid job in 7th at the moment, and he still has a shot of at least trying to win this race.
And just in front of him, this is the rookie sensation here, Matt Gruenberg, coming out of nowhere later in the season and began winning races and stealing them from some of the guys that are best here. And if he runs full-time next season, this guy is going to be in the championship four, no doubt about that.
Yeah, I would say the only reason he missed out was because he started so late in the season. He could have easily climbed his way up even with a race deficit if he started on earlier. But yeah, I definitely expect to see a red banner on that truck next season.
Absolutely, and Paul Ross just in front of him running in 5th right now. Again, kind of a slow start to the race for him, but again, he plays the long game here. He's so consistent, and I don't think his speed's going to drop off much, as the guys in front of him might potentially run into the issue. Peter Short's actually jumped out to a little bit of a lead here, and you see the battle for second beginning to intensify. Levi Zielinski trying to hang on, and Johnny Thomas trying to take it.
Yeah, looks like Johnny Thomas has caught all the way up to Zielinski. Looks like he's tried to at least make some sort of attempt at passing, but again, it's do you try to wear your tires out passing when you know it's kind of futile and you just use up more and more of your tires and you fall off from the guy, or do you just sit in behind him and kind of wait for the opportunity?
I just think it's so interesting. Watch already the different lines forming. You see Zielinski running mid, Thomas on the bottom, Ross up at the top. It's already beginning to transition to that multi-groove racing that we know and love so much here at Homestead. And Ross obviously trying to defend from that charging 54 of Gruenberg.
So Gruenberg's been very persistent with trying to get around Ross. Hasn't been able to get the move done. He's gotten just about a fender in there, and he's actually almost side by side here in the middle of 1 and 2. But Ross is going to get a nice run off the corner, and you should be able to clear the 54 without a problem.
The beauty of that outside lane. You see the massive run he gets, and about a 4 to 5 mile an hour difference just on corner exit, and it pays off for Ross. He's going to drive away, and again, that outside groove, it's a little bit treacherous if you get up into that wall because it kind of grabs you, so you have to be careful. You can make a lot of speed up there, but you have to balance the risk versus reward, especially about 15 laps into the race. Battle for second continues. You see Zielinski all the way up against that blue wall, and again, I love watching the multi-line racing here. It's so much fun to watch. Johnny Thomas now inching a little bit closer, but running towards the middle of the racetrack. Now, the difference is here, Finian, is the bottom of the racetrack a little bit bumpier, but the top side is a little bit rougher in terms of the pavement because it hasn't been worn down by the tires. So that outside lane, especially when it's not rubbered in, might be a little bit harsher on the tires. But the inside, again, also if you're grinding that steering wheel against that white line, that's not going to be good for him either. The middle line seems to be the most conservative place to run.
Yeah, that's where we saw a lot of people running earlier in the run, but now you see everyone deviating from the top to the bottom and kind of leaving the middle lane to dry as they're all trying to get speed in different parts of the track. But as I'm looking at the lap times of Zielinski, and after he switched to the high line, what he's currently running, he's slowly gaining some time now. He went from 5/10 now to 3/10 and under as he's trying to catch Peter Short.
Yeah, we saw Paul Ross slip up a little bit last time through, I believe it was 1 and 2, and lost 2 spots, one to Matt Gruenberg and one to Chuck Sweeting, so move Ross back to 7th. Meanwhile, Peter Short continues to lead by 0.3 of a second, but there's the 3 different grooves. Johnny Thomas in the middle, Lytle on the bottom, and Zielinski at the top.
Yeah, and Zielinski's catching in slowly but surely to Peter Short, so we could potentially see a pass here as both of them are running completely different lines.
Through turns 3 and 4 now. Zielinski in that bright pink number 59.
And there you see Short get a little bit of a wiggle. You can see his driver is the the guy, I don't know, character, I don't know, the guy in the
It's Peter
truck.
Short. What are you talking about?
Yeah, it's Peter Short. You can see him wiggling at the wheel there, and you see Zielinski running high in 1 and 2, trying to get anything he can. But yeah, Paul Ross currently at the moment struggling out of the championship 4. He's back in 7th and losing some time, and he's kind of got to get that back up, because once you get a little bit loose, it takes a little bit while to get back into things.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, I don't know if it's time to hit the panic button just yet for Ross, but you look up there and you see the guys you're competing against running 1 through 3. You have to wonder, what am I doing wrong? I mean, this would not be a bad night for Paul Ross if it was any other night, but I think it's going to take a victory to win the championship here tonight. I don't think second's going to do it, and Short, Zielinski, and Thomas are proving that already lap 20.
Yeah, again, these guys are all really close, and they're all bunched back up together again.
Ooh, you see Johnny Thomas get a little bit loose there with Tate Lytle right up underneath that rear spoiler, taking the air off the truck.
How about Tate Lytle? He's a truck we have not talked about a lot this season. He's usually been running decently in midfield, but how about him having a nice, solid top 4 run?
And certainly trying a couple different things. We've seen him kind of experiment with the lines he's been running behind Thomas and Zielinski. See Thomas getting a pretty good run on Zielinski there, but can't quite get the nose to the quarter panel to use that side draft here at Homestead. And especially with the trucks, the way the downforce package is here, side drafting is pretty effective. Not as effective, or excuse me, it's more effective than the Cup cars to get that truck alongside the quarter panel. But remember, it slows both drivers down. It doesn't speed you up like following the truck in front does.
Yeah, so that's something these guys have to keep in mind. And also they have to keep in mind, too, that 54, Grunberg, he's kind of caught up into this group.
When hasn't he caught up to the group? This guy has been on a tear. We mentioned it a couple minutes ago, but caution's out right now, Finian. Nathan Velez looks like he is slow. And, Lafferty into the wall in the back straightaway.
Yeah, it looks like several trucks involved. Also, I think the 39 of Wilson had a spin.
Now, Wilson looks relatively unscathed. He's going to spin across the racetrack right in front of Chad Brown. Or actually, I think it was Austin Derbyshire there. Oh, no, it was Brown there. But Wilson hits the wall, but it was Lafferty that took the brunt of the impact. So we have a caution on lap number 22. Let's go take a look at what caused it. Looks like it actually started in front of him here, Finian.
Yeah, it definitely started in front of
Velez. They have not can't see this just yet, but we're picking up here. Here's a look at what just occurred on the racetrack. And Velez out of turn 2 was loose, and then came across the racetrack and almost had it collected. Gets into David Wilson, spins it across the track. You see Wilson spinning there, and then Lafferty locks up the brakes trying to miss it and pounds the inside wall.
So let's take a look on board with Frank Sims IV. He had an interesting view from that.
You see up ahead, Velez loose, swinging it across the racetrack, collecting Wilson, just an innocent bystander. Wilson slides across track. Wilson does an amazing job not hitting or getting hit, and he'll live to see another day, but that 08 truck of Lafferty pretty severely damaged in that incident. All right, well, pit stop's underway already. And I think 4 tires every time you're coming down here with how rough this track is.
Also, look how cockeyed Peter Short is into his stall. I'm amazed they're able to still service that thing.
He actually might lose the race off pit road. Here does Zielinski, Finian, and that's going to be a change for position.
Yeah, and he does keep ahead of Johnny Thomas in the 83. Then you see Chuck Sweeting.
Lost a lot of spots in pit lane.
Yeah, so...
They come out 9th for that 18 truck.
Yeah, so he's going to lose a lot of spots. I'm guessing he might have overshot or something, but bad day going worse for him at the moment.
So Levi Zielinski picks up a spot in pit lane and will walk out the leader, and just like that, your championship kind of gets swung around here. So the danger of having a pit stop like Peter Short just had, it won't affect you now, but come the final pit stop of the race, if there's a late race caution and everybody comes to pit lane, a little mistake like that can cost you a championship, and track position is going to be important here, especially on the short run. So Peter Short's got to be looking at that, trying to improve for next time. Johnny Thomas comes out in 3rd. So that position will stay put, as does Tate Lytle. Looks like Grunberg lost a spot to Chuck Sweeting there. But the big loser on all that was Paul Ross. It's going to look like he'll have 8th place, down a spot from when he was in pit lane.
Yeah, and like you were talking about, they always say it, you can win and lose a race off on pit road. So you got to make sure you get into your box right, you don't overshoot, and make sure you get off right, and especially don't speed, because an EOL could really cost you, putting you to the back of the field. We still have... from the looks of it, 21 trucks on the lead lap, so that's a lot of trucks to get past.
Yeah, 21 trucks on the lead lap. Nathan Velez is 2 laps down, getting some crash damage fixed. Not sure if he's retired yet or not, but he is the last truck running right now in that number 22, or excuse me, number 48 truck in 22nd. So Levi Zielinski leads. Peter Short, Johnny Thomas, Tate Lytle, Chuck Sweeting, your top 5, 24 laps into this finale race here. You see Zielinski up on the rear bumper of that Mustang pace car. He wants to get going, and I think the track position will help Zielinski. I think he was actually quicker than Short in the latter stages of that run.
Yeah, and I wonder now will he try to he's probably going to actually, with everyone else, probably run the middle to low line earlier on, but I wonder if he's going to try to jump out a little bit earlier to that top line to try to run it, especially after it's been kind of rubbered in a bit. So will he try to do that? Because he was making quite a bit of speed on Peter Short.
Well, you see right here, it looks like Zielinski's going to try that top lane, and I'm not really sure if I was Zielinski if that's what I would do. And I'm going to disagree with you on just the restart part. I think the outside lane's going to be great to hold on to positions. I'm just not sure with the fresh tires. I'm fairly certain the inside truck can just drive off in there full throttle and might be able to slide up in front of the outside truck just by taking the shorter way around. It's a wide racetrack here at Homestead, so I'm curious to see how this pans out, and it's definitely something that Zielinski is going to take note for later in the race, regardless of how it turns out.
I would say also, if anything, might as well try something now on lap 25 than at lap 115.
Yeah, because you can experiment now, but if you mess it up, then you can not do it next time. But you can't experiment on lap 115 when you're going green with 3 to go. So I think this is a learning experience for Zielinski, and I think everyone else is watching this restart as well. So Peter Short had led all the laps up to this point. And so Zielinski in that outside lane is going to try to get a jump. He's got Tate Lytle up behind him in that number 56, and Matt Grunberg is there as well. Curious to see what Grunberg can do back here. Oh, you see Thomas pulling off here, Phineas.
Yeah, no, Short looked like he was slow for a bit, and Thomas tried to avoid him. So
all right, well, coming to the restart here, pace car pulls off. Levi Zielinski in the outside lane, the pink and black truck fires off. He's the leader, and we're green back again on lap 25.
And he got a fantastic restart there, unlike Short. Short's going to fall in behind for second, and here comes Thomas trying to secure third place.
Driving off down deep into turn 1, and it looks like the lane choice isn't going to matter much because Zielinski had him cleared by a ton by the time he got down to the corner. Thomas is going to try to slide up in front of Lytle, and he does.
Yeah, great job there. And there you see Paul Ross again in frame trying to get some position back. He's already up into 7th, trying to work on 6th, try to get past Chuck Sweeting.
Yeah, Sweeting's on the inside lane. They're going to watch that inside truck drifting up. There's not a whole lot of banking down there to help you, and they're both going to slide up the racetrack. And I think Ross will have the run down the front straight here, especially with help from the 42 of Kevin Giadricic there right behind him.
Yeah, it looks like our top 5 are all single file at the moment as everyone gets sorted out, and you're going to see some guys running some different grooves already.
Off of turn 2 now, lap 27, and it looks like Ross and Sweeting are door-to-door, but I think Ross is clear now. He is indeed, so can he drive off in and take the spot? Yes, he will. Kevin Giadricic there on the outside trying to take 7th away from Chuck Sweeting, and they're battling door-to-door out of turn 4. Does Sweeting try to slide up? Not quite a hole there. He tried.
Yeah, and he had to give way, otherwise there could have been a lot of contact between both of them. Chuck Sweeting could have been in the wall. So it's kind of one of those things where you got to have some give and take earlier on, but it looks like Sweeting is going to try to clear Giadricic. I don't know if he can do it, though.
And they're all going to get lined back up, going nose to tail, but meanwhile out up front, Zielinski's holding on to the spot. Peter Short has not really given too much of a challenge since the restart, but again, Johnny Thomas looking extremely aggressive on the inside in that 83 truck.
And the entire top 9 all nose to tail here as you see them all come out of 4. All together in one big group. It almost looks like a pack race here.
Almost, and it kind of is like that a little bit. I mean, these trucks punch such a big hole in the air that the draft is much more important here than it is at a lot of tracks these guys raced at. Short tracks and road courses a lot of the season. So you're going to be able to see a lot of drafting here. It looks like the 83 is actually might give the 22 a push if he can get to the rear bumper. Didn't quite get there this time through.
Yeah, it looks like Zielinski's doing a fantastic job of holding that lead over Peter Short. Still running that middle to low line, but again, I wonder if how long it's gonna take for him to jump onto the top groove.
We saw Peter Short come off the corner just a little bit higher than the guys around him. Maybe experimenting with middle in the corner and then exiting high to get that momentum run. And we'll keep another eye on this. Actually, let's look from above, see if we can get another good look at this. That time through, pretty much just in line with Zielinski, but I want to watch him through 3 and 4 to see if he does that again.
Yeah, 3 and 4 seems to be where most of these guys are starting to experiment a bit. And there you see Lytle go up to the middle groove, and the 54 running a little bit higher than him.
Pretty standard line there for Peter Short that time, so he must have decided that didn't work as well. So you mentioned if any of the front 9 are nose to tail, but the front 4 beginning to break away a little bit. You see Paul Ross trying to dive underneath Grunberg there for P5, and that's the first strength we've seen out of Ross here tonight. Passing the 54 truck is hard at any racetrack, especially at Homestead.
And he's going to do it without any problems, and he's going to secure 5th place. So Paul Ross now on the move towards the front of the field.
All he's got to do is get by Tate Lytle, and he's right in the fight with the front group. And Zielinski driving up the racetrack at about a half lane more than Peter Short, and now has a 0.2 of a second lead. But I think Short's going to shrink that down on the straightaway with that draft.
Yeah, he's going to close up just a little bit. Not really within closing range to make a pass. He has to close up just a little bit more. And he's probably just going to ride around a little bit as much as he can. Actually, no, he's going to try to make a run now to the outside. And Zielinski comes up to block him as they come down the back straightaway. And there goes Short. He was going to look to the inside as he go into 3.
Peter Short dives to the inside off into turn 3. Trying to make a move down there, but that's such a hard line to hold, especially without the banking down there. Remember, the banking is progressive. It's lower banking on the bottom and higher on the top. And off of turn 4, Zielinski's going to easily clear Short, and Peter Short's going to get attacked by Johnny Thomas on the outside.
Yeah, looks like Thomas now has got a nose in there. He's going to try to make the outside work, but right now Short's clear of Johnny Thomas, and Short's going to secure back 2nd place. But here comes Lytle now on the outside of Thomas.
Yeah, Thomas tried to get down to the bottom and get on the throttle early, but slid up a little bit in the middle of the corner. Here's Peter Short again. Does he try diving off there again? No, he's going to sit on it. It looks like you kind of have to be alongside the guy to even really have a shot. I don't think you can make a dive bomb move like you could in the Cup car or Xfinity car. Just not enough power in these trucks to really make a difference. You see all the trucks loose off the corner.
Yeah, again, hot surface that these guys have to deal with. And Zielinski's currently leading Short, Thomas, Lytle, and Ross, your top 5.
Through turns 1 and 2, Zielinski drifts up the racetrack again, and here comes Short once again with a great run off of turn 2, but he's going to have to sit on it. You got to be closer than that to make a move. But again, he can just be biding his time, saving a little bit of fuel, maybe not looking at it as aggressively as the 83 of Thomas has been. Looks like Thomas is really trying to get his truck up to the front.
Yeah, he's really starting to push now, and again, these guys are all kind of bunching up nose to tail, and I think they're going to wait later on as they did on the last run, where they started experimenting with different lines when the tires wore out. To start making passes, because I think right now everyone just has too much rubber to work with, and it's really hard to try to make other lanes work.
Let's watch the speed here on Johnny Thomas's truck down the back straightaway. 175 the top speed as he drives off into turn 3. Down to 140 in the mid-corner before picking the throttle back up.
You can see Short's truck sliding out of line there.
Yeah, he's a little bit squirrely. I've seen that a little bit. I mean, mentioned how slick it is out here, but the trucks, with the downforce they have, the mechanical grip, these trucks are much more planted than the Cup and Xfinity cars, so I'm surprised to see them sliding around. I see Short again slipping through turn 2 there.
Yeah, that's just that 110-degree track temperature is just making these things a lot loose. And you can only imagine in a Cup car how loose it would be with all that extra power. These things would be sliding all over the place. It would almost be like Formula Drift. But these guys working with what they have. And there you see Short sliding up the track, trying to get a run.
He got real close to the wall off the corner, but carried a lot of speed there, and now a 10th behind. And Paul Ross is also beginning to close in on Tate Lytle for that 4th spot. And if he can get himself up in here, he's solidly back in championship contention.
Yeah, great rebound by that 18. He was looking in a bad place earlier on. Now he's caught back up, and he looked like he's in championship form. But here comes Peter Short now looking to the inside of Zielinski potentially, but he's going to still sit on it.
This is a very similar race to what we saw out of the Integrity Racing League at Chicagoland last Tuesday, Finian. A lot of nose-to-tail racing. Look at Short really sideways, wheeling that truck inside.
What you were saying?
Anyway, the Integrity Racing League, the truck race at Chicago last Tuesday, they had a very similar effect at the mile-and-a-half track there, where they were really nose-to-tail, kind of in a draft, and were not able to make moves on each other without being attacked by other drivers behind them. So this is, again, a risk versus reward scenario here. Again, the only lap that matters for the Championship 4 is the last one, but you got to put yourself in position, and you got to maybe treat this a little bit more like a plate race than you would a mile-and-a-half.
Yeah, very slick plate race. As you see Thomas sliding just a little bit, trying to get any extra grip or just momentum on the inside line, but not able to make it work.
And a lot more off-throttle time. There was probably about 2.5, 3 seconds of off-throttle time there that I did not expect in the trucks. And remember, these things have a lot of downforce compared to the Cup car. And he's on throttle here. You hear him lift right now. And now back on the gas. So a long drift, long off-throttle time. Now we see a little bit of a wheel correction there off of turn 4 and right up against that outside wall.
Yeah, and part of that too is the nature of the track where you have to kind of wait just a little bit to get back on throttle, otherwise you're going to understeer. And also that you can't really get too on the throttle because you can start to slip due to how slick it is. And even with it, you can see how black the track has turned now since the start of the race. It's still a little bit slippery, so you gotta just watch your throttle inputs. If you put too much in, you're gonna spin that truck around.
And looking at our stint graphic here, 17 laps into the run, so the tires are beginning to burn off just a little bit. You see the front three were kind of staggered. Short again slips off the corner, and I gotta wonder is Peter Short damaging his tires by drifting around that much?
He is. Any little slide that can really hurt your tires, and you really might not feel it now, but probably later on. And it's the way he's sliding right now, it shouldn't be too bad, but it's definitely putting some more wear than Zielinski, who's looking a lot more comfortable in his tires.
Paul Ross, meanwhile, has caught Tate Lytle and had a nose underneath him driving off into turn 1. You see deep into turn 3 goes the 18 of Paul Ross. He's got Grunberg right behind him, but it looks like Ross has finally got the handle out of that 18 truck as he gets a little bit sideways off of turn 4.
Boy.
As soon as I say that, he loses all the ground he just made up. Sliding wildly off of turn 4. Let's get a quick replay of that. Drives off into the corner here, and again, you mentioned it, if you pick up the throttle too early, you can really, he's picked up the throttle, and he's already drifting up the racetrack, gets out of the groove just a little bit, a big slide for that 18.
Yeah, and it's also your steering inputs as well. It's just such a fine line of control that these guys have to teeter on to get the maximum effort out of these trucks, so it's a very fine line that they have to follow, and if you step out of it, you're going to pay the price.
The front three have been battling intensely. Peter Short, and you know what, something I noticed, Finian, is that Peter Short has been getting out of the aero shadow of Levi Zielinski on corner exit. He's actually been running about a lane lower, trying to get air to the nose at that 22.
Yeah, I would say, like you're saying, these trucks punch a big hole in the air, and if you're not getting the air to your truck, that's a lot of downforce that's lost, so you can't really corner as well, so that's really the reason why he's going to be going lower.
And the first lap traffic of the night is appearing up ahead. That would be the 39 of David Wilson, who was involved in that first wreck, not of his doing. Got tagged in the right rear going down the back straightaway by the 48 of Nathan Velez, who has since retired. But Wilson is 2 laps down now, trying to recover with a damaged truck.
Also notably, the 76 of Tanner Sharp has also pulled into the garage able to retire in 21st.
So Richard Lafferty is back out on the racetrack in 19th, only 1 lap down. Surprised with that, but meanwhile, looks like Short had another good run for the lead, but couldn't get alongside. Again, the problem with the progressive banking here, Finian, is you get alongside, you can jump off into the corner with all the speed you want, but it's going to bleed off as the banking drops away compared to the guy in the outside lane.
Yeah, pretty much the guy on the inside has to make up his time on entry, and he's gonna have to slide in front of the leader to make that happen. Peter Short does so. Unless he does that, is not a lot of a shot of him getting the lead, as Zielinski's really taking a favor to the outside line.
Paul Ross has also been up there quite a bit here tonight and holding off the charging 54 of Gruenberg. And remember, Ross almost lost it a couple laps ago, so just trying to cool the tires back down and make another run at Tate Lytle just ahead.
Yeah, but again, Paul Ross, both have P's in their name, I'm getting them mixed up. Paul Ross, he's doing really everything he needs to do, just staying in line with these leaders. He's only a few hundredths behind them. Yeah,
we saw Zielinski get a little bit loose in turns 3 and 4, and that gave Peter Short a great run to the inside. Now, where does the lap truck of David Wilson go? Will this result in a lead change? Because Zielinski's going to have a good run off the corner, but not anywhere to go with it.
Yeah, and Short's going to try to use the lap truck as a pick. He's going to try to pinch Levi Zielinski in there. And here they come into the turn, and wow, they almost get together.
Yeah, Zielinski pulled across the racetrack, and there was almost contact between the two trucks, and they're both going to drive off deep in the corner. Short's going to slip up the racetrack loose, and Zielinski's going to go back to the outside, side by side on the front straight.
And Zielinski had to use a little bit of a draft to get the momentum, but here comes Johnny Thomas looking to the outside as well.
Yeah, Thomas gave Zielinski a little bit of a boot going down the front straight, pushing him there a little bit, at least aerodynamically, and they're still side by side for the lead and for the championship 47 laps into this 117 lap race.
And you can see Short slipping it into Zielinski!
And both the leaders involved, and there goes the 18 of Paul Ross by.
And Gruenberg and Sweeting are involved.
And that, just like that, Peter Short's title hopes are dashed, as are Levi Zielinski's. A tragic moment here, 47 laps into this race.
And there's a huge pile up on the back straightaway as the track was blocked as trucks are trying to get around.
And that truck is totaled, Finian. It's crabbing.
Yeah, that truck is definitely done. What about the 59 of Zielinski? Trying to see where he is. Did he pull it into the garage? No, where is he?
Trying to find Zielinski. Here he's back in 13th.
Yeah,
a lot of damage to that truck, too. Paul Ross managed to get through unscathed. Johnny Thomas was just gifted the lead and potentially the championship with those two leaders and two of the strongest trucks all year being involved. Let's go take a look at it. And a big mess off of turn 2.
Yeah, so looking at it here, I saw Short get a little bit of a wiggle. There he goes, a little bit of a wiggle. Is he getting loose, coming out of the corner, and then goes into Zielinski trying to save it.
And just wrong place, wrong time for Zielinski to be, and Short corrects and ends up making contact with Zielinski and others. And oh, Close gets drilled there at the end, and you see Thomas Morris and the 7 all trying to scatter. But just an unfortunate end to the championship hopes for. And Short was, all year, the strongest truck week in, week out. And to see his title hopes dash like this so quickly, it's pretty upsetting.
Yeah, that was just him trying to save it, and you see a bunch of trucks sliding in all around like bumper trucks, I guess, in this case. But yeah, unfortunate end for Short's and Zielinski's run.
You see the 18 to Paul Ross. He had a great view of this. You see Short just stepping out, correcting, bam, into Zielinski. And great job by Paul Ross to go through the spinning cars.
And even Lytle, too. Lytle almost hit the inside wall trying to avoid that. He took a huge run through the grass.
You see that just absolute, it looks like a scene out of Cars. Everyone crashed like that. So looks like we've narrowed down our Championship 4 to our Championship 2 here, Finney. And Thomas and Ross make it out unscathed.
Yeah, we just went through pit stops as we were reviewing that replay. And it looks like Thomas is going to come out ahead of Lytle, then Jadricic, Ross, and then Mike Stevens. How about that? In the 63, he's up to 5th.
Yeah, he kept himself out of trouble, kept himself out of the wreck. Look at Richard Hines now in 6th. And let's take a look at the repair situation here. Peter Short, Levi Zielinski, both on pit lane, have been there for about a minute. And they're going to want to get rolling here before they go a lap down because I think Zielinski might have something salvageable. I think Peter Short's truck is far gone.
Yeah, and let's see if Zielinski comes out. There he comes out. Does Short do? I don't think he does. I think he has required.
I think Short's going to have to take it, though. I don't even think it matters.
So he's completely done at that point. So Zielinski, again, like you're saying, he has something salvageable, but he needs a lot of quick cautions to come out so he can try to fix that truck as much as possible.
Hey, this race isn't over yet. I mean, we still got a long way to go.
A lot can happen
in
the remaining half of this race.
It's not about time to give Thomas or the...
I don't know. No, I have no clue what you're trying to say.
I just totally blanked on Paul Ross's number.
18.
The 18, thank you.
And that's unfortunate. That's your favorite.
You would think I would know
driver.
That. Anyway, I wouldn't give the championship to Thomas or Ross just yet. We saw how quickly things can go south, and I don't think you can count out that 59 truck just yet. And Peter Short, done for the night, retired, Finian.
Yeah, again, you got to feel for him. A driver that's dominated the season, and he's now out of this fight. So it's unfortunate as we're officially down to 3 guys left, effectively 2, considering the damage that Zielinski has. And his only hope really at this point is to hope that something happens to the 18 and the 83. And again, considering both of them are still in this fight, it could collect each other. You never know. So a lot of racing still left to go. But this championship picture has definitely changed face, as pretty much going by the first half of the race, the 59 and the 22 were the favorites to win this.
James Miller getting the free pass right now, getting that truck back on the lead lap. So we have 16 trucks. I think another truck caught up in that. You mentioned it during the replay, Finian. Matt Grunberg, that truck has significant damage, and he's probably out of the race here as well. So that adds to the list of damaged trucks here tonight. And there's a lot of good trucks involved in that. But down the back straightaway, Johnny Thomas is liking his chances now.
Oh, he definitely does. That takes a lot of pressure off of him to perform. And he's at the moment, I would say he's a little bit faster than the 18 of Paul Ross. So if he can just keep to his own, he might be in a very favorable position.
I just feel so bad for the 22. I mean, won 5 races this year. I mean, that's a lot of races. And to see him just go out on lap 47 like that is a tough pill to swallow for anybody. But that's the playoff system. That's how this goes. You can't walk in here with a points cushion. It's all about winning. And unfortunately, not able to do that tonight. But we still have 2 contenders left in this. Johnny Thomas and Paul Ross. Pace car pulls up, lap 52. Green flag back in the air.
Thomas got a great start. Lytle not so much. He's going to try to hold off Paul Ross on the outside to hold on to second. And looks like he's going to do just exactly that.
And Paul Ross pinching Jędrusich there down in turns 1 and 2. Look out, Jędrusich slips up just about a half lane, almost gets into the 18 of Paul Ross. But Ross gets a phenomenal run off the corner, and is going to try to take a run at the 83 off into turn 3.
Yeah, Ross knows now he can't wait anymore. He's just been handed a card, and he's going to play it. He's going to look to the outside of Lytle, trying to work around him as fast as he can to get to Johnny Thomas.
And look behind them. There's a big gaggle of race trucks here, Finian, side by side, nose to tail. Richard Hines in the middle of all that, the 7 of Dylan Hickey as well, and others. The aggression level has just picked up significantly.
Yeah, you see Ross all the way to the outside again. All these guys pit, so he does have some fresh tires to work with.
Wow, Lytle slips up the racetrack though, Finian.
And does Ross look to the inside? Let's see where he decides to go.
Yes, he will. He'll dive to the inside. This is, again, I think Ross has realized now that the ball is in his court now. He's the winningest playoff driver still left in the race, at least competitively, and he's got to take advantage of his skill and his knowledge and get himself back up, but he's going to slip up out of the way of the inside groove and tuck back in behind Tate Lytle.
Yeah, and he's got to be, I can imagine he's probably a little bit frustrated with Lytle, because Lytle is not in this championship fight, so, but Lytle is, again, just riding his own race. He has just as much of a chance to win as Ross does, at least in the race perspective, but Ross wants to look at the bigger picture, and currently the 56 is in his way.
And Johnny Thomas driving away 0.4 of a second already. And again, this is what a blessing this has been for the 83 truck. Won one race back at Eldora and has had an okay season. Not bad. He's quietly pointed his way through the playoffs. Has not made a huge storm. Quietly finishing 3rd, 5th, 6th, and it's played out in his favor. But here tonight, the 2 leaders crashing on that 47 just handed the golden ticket to a Homestead victory right to his hands here, and he leads on that 55.
Yeah, again, like you were saying, cards just falling in his favor, and he's doing everything he needs to do at the moment. He has a 0.3 of a second lead over Lytle, now 0.4, so he's trying to get away from the rest of the pack, and he's currently being able to pull that off.
Thomas Morris in the 27 up to 6th, and you got to be feeling for Thomas here, because 1 week ago was eliminated from the previous round, and had he been in here instead of Zielinski, things might have been a little bit different here. So Morris might be looking at that in the past, and I guess hindsight's 2020, but missed it by 1 spot a couple weeks ago at Chicagoland, and here he runs P6 and would have been 3rd in the championship battle. So Ross now trying to defend from Kevin Jędrusich here, and what a lot of speed out of this 42 truck here this week. I haven't seen him running up front in quite a while, and it's good to see him back out.
I was going to say he had some sparks of greatness when he first showed up in the Truck Series, I believe, mid-season, so ran a little well. Had a little bit of a dry spell, but now he's back up towards the front and doing well. And again, another truck I expect to see do really well next season.
Mike Stevens holding on to that 5th spot from the restart, that 63 truck there. Another guy that's had a little bit of bad luck in the last couple weeks, but that Coors Toyota Tundra running quite well here, lap 57. So Thomas's lead has not really extended. Lytle has kind of kept him in sight and is beginning to reel him in just a little bit each lap. And Lytle is the quickest truck on the racetrack, at least last time through.
Yeah, and again, Lytle has got a fantastic shot of winning this race as well. He's been up with the top 4 all day long. I don't think he's even fallen out of the top 5 ever since the drop of the green flag. So here's a good shot at getting him a win here tonight. He's been doing everything right as well, and he could be the thorn in maybe Thomas's side if he ends up passing.
What an upset that would be to have a non-playoff driver win. At the beginning of the race, remember, in practice, all 4 playoff drivers were at the top of the field. And now, the way things are running, I mean, if Thomas gets past you, you might not have to win the race. Lytle might be the driver to beat. It reminds me of Larson every year at Homestead, who just always drives out in front of the chase drivers and makes everybody else look like they need to do a better job. You see Stevens way up out of the groove there in turns 1 and 2.
Stevens also doing a fantastic job of holding on to 5th. Again, another driver we haven't really seen much of throughout the season, but holding on nicely to 5th place.
So an update on your championship contenders. Peter Short officially out of the race. He will finish 20th here tonight. And it looks like Levi Zielinski is 10 seconds back. But I see Chuck Sweeting coming down to pit road with some right side damage. I'm not sure if that's new.
He did have a little bit, and it looks like he's going to just pull off and retire as he doesn't see the point in continuing on. So tough break for him, and also Gruenberg in the 54 is a lap down. So as everyone has come across the line to complete lap 59, we are officially halfway through this race, and halfway points have been applied except to the drivers in the championship force. So they still, again, have to finish out in front of the other, and that's that and only that's going to determine that position. And again, it's not looking good for the 59 of Zielinski.
Well, I will say this. His last time through, he was about 1 second off the pace. That's not that bad. I thought it would be worse. And again, if he keeps that truck running and keeps the engine cool, if something happens to these front runners, he's not out of it just yet.
Yeah, so he's in the middle of 1 and 2, and yeah, so he isn't that far behind, but again, he can't afford to really run a lap down, otherwise that's going to put him out. Is there some smoke?
I do see some smoke, actually.
Yeah, I'm trying to see, is anyone going slow? Oh, the 08 of Richard Lafferty, yeah.
And there's an engine gone on that 08, and I think that stems from that early caution after making contact with the inside wall, avoiding the 48 of Les.
And tough break for him, he was actually running pretty decently, I'm guessing, until that engine finally gave way. Probably had an overheating issue, so unfortunate for the 08. But we continue on out front of the same picture, the 83, then the 56 and the 18, your top three. Currently still all together, a little bit more separated than before. But Lytle's actually closing in just a little bit to Johnny Thomas.
Yeah, Lytle's actually made up about 0.2 of a second the last few laps. And is bringing Paul Ross with him, although Ross needs to kind of tighten up if he wants to have a shot at the lead when Lytle gets to Thomas's rear bumper. And I say when, because I do think Lytle's going to get there. Again, consistently running quicker laps. That time through is about a 10th quicker than the leader.
Yeah, so it's running. So Lytle currently running just at the pace of Thomas, if not a little bit faster. So if he can get there and he has a lot of time to work with, he could end up making the pass.
You see Lytle apexing lower. Watch Thomas slide up on corner exit, and look at the ground Lytle makes up. This is a line that is more of a short track line where you enter the corner high and pull the car low on exit. Something you see a lot at Bristol. But Lytle's actually making a lot of speed out of it here. So let's see what he does through turns 1 and 2. Looks like this is a more traditional center line here.
It looks like he's a little bit slidey on exit, but he's going to continue on. But yeah, he's pretty much following Thomas through the lower middle line. And then, as you see there, the two different entries there, the 83 enters low, Lytle enters a little higher, and then they switch mid-corner.
Yeah, Lytle gets on throttle a little bit later and pulls the truck lower down an exit, and about 0.2 of a second still separating them, so it's working out for both these drivers, but Paul Ross has fallen off the pace a little bit more, 0.6 of a second behind Lytle.
Yeah, he's starting to fall off the pace of these front two, so it looks like it's going to be now between the 56 and the 83 for the win of the race. And honestly, I kind of wonder, if you're the 83, do you want to just let Lytle by and not try to fight with him, and then just fall him behind? Because if he tries to put up a fight with the 56 as he is closing, he has a potential of letting Paul Ross catch back up and potentially make a pass around Thomas. So what do you kind of do in this scenario?
You don't win the race by beating everybody. You only, or excuse me, the championship. You only win the championship by beating the other guys in the championship. And the only one still running competitively is that 18 truck. The 56, you're not racing the 56 if you're Johnny Thomas. There's no point in holding him up. Let him go and just race the 18 of Paul Ross. Actually, I would fall in behind the 56. Watch what he's doing. Figure out what he's doing better than you. Figure out where you can save tires, where you can save fuel. Evaluate your strategical options, because the only truck that matters right now is that 18 of Paul Ross.
Yeah, and also, speaking of saving tires and fuel, we will have to make a pit stop at some point.
We're about 17 laps into the run, and this is where the trouble began for Peter Short when he started to slide around a lot, notably. So watch the lap numbers on that stint tick up, and you'll begin to see drivers begin to slip and slide. We've already seen Thomas and Lytle kind of doing a little bit of a skip and slide up through the middle of turns 1 and 2. Chuck Sweeting has retired the race due to reduced speed from the crash damage he suffered earlier, so didn't want to be a roadblock out there with all that damage, so he is pulled off for the night. Means we have 17 trucks on the racetrack. Looks like we have about 14 on the lead lap. Sam Close is currently the first truck 1 lap down. He's actually 2 laps down, so he's in a position to get one of those back if the caution comes out. Down the back straightaway, and Johnny Thomas has stretched out the lead just a little bit last time through. And this race has begun to kind of stagnate here with the running order that we have, but Thomas Morris beginning to close in on Mike Stevens now. This will be for 5th spot. And these guys have graduated farther up the racetrack than everybody else has. They were rim riding through 3 and 4.
Yeah, definitely, and a lot of these guys still putting on some battles. And there you see up towards the front of the field, it looks like Giadricic is trying to go into the inside of the 18.
Ross again struggling with the pace here, and this is not something I expect. Actually, there's a little bit of damage to the right side of that 18 truck, Vineyard. On the right front nose, when the camera pans around here, see if you can see any. Maybe that's just the shape of the truck.
Potentially, I
I
don't
thought
know.
I saw something hanging off there, but you see him loose.
Yeah, no, actually, Corey Lindsay, thank you for giving a little update. The 83 and the 56 are teammates. So,
good to know.
Yeah,
we
so
should know
that's-
that by
yeah.
this point. But
Yeah,
so Lytle and Thomas are certainly not going to battle each other too hard here.
yeah, so essentially, that's probably what they have lined up here. Is the 56 essentially is going to try to defend, be the rear gunner, as they say, for the for the 83. So they have a great scenario set up towards the front of the field, pretty much having control of this, and even they might not even have to worry about that because Ross is in danger now of falling back to fourth if Kevin Jadrosich gets around him.
Great battle here for fifth. Mike Stevens trying to hang on, and Thomas Morris attacking. You see Stevens really loose off the corner, and Morris is going to have a great run down into turn one. Different lanes here. Sorry, Penny.
Yeah, I was going to say, here comes Morris to the inside, and he sees Stevens get into the wall on the outside of 1 and 2. He's going to be able to recover, but again, this is where we're seeing some guys start to struggle with grip, and that's where we saw those 2 cautions essentially derived from, is guys losing grip from their tires and spinning out. So
Well, we just saw there Dylan Hickey almost losing on the corner exit there, and that same kind of scenario is what took Peter Short in the 59 of Levi Zielinski out of this. And we're talking about Zielinski here. He is on the back straightaway, and Johnny Thomas right now is in turn 1. So Zielinski is going to be in danger of going a lap down here in just a little bit.
and again, that would really be the nail in the coffin for his championship hopes, because he can still get some damage fixed if a caution were is to come out. But again, it's more of if that caution comes out, because we are kind of low on drivers at the moment. We only have 14 on the lead lap.
You see Jadrosich here closing in on Paul Ross. Ross is loose on corner
Loose,
exit.
yeah, very, very
Oh.
loose. So much so that Jadrosich had to go to the inside to avoid getting into him. And here he comes on the inside quarter panel of the 18. He's going to dive into turn 1. He's going to try to clear him, but I don't think it's actually might be enough here.
Looks like Ross is just going to let the 42 go. So put Paul Ross back to 4th, and now you have to start thinking, if you're Ross here, Finian, you probably got about 1 pit stop left. What do you do with that pit stop? I mean, you got to fix that up. There's not a whole lot you can do. What do you change your driving style? I mean, you're running out of laps to make something happen here.
I think honestly the best thing to really do, I guess, is try to pull an undercut and block like there's no tomorrow. It's again, like you're saying, you're kind of running out of strategy because you can't make an adjustment because, like you said, it's a fixed setup. Really, the only thing you can do is pick where you pit at that point. So I'd say best thing to do is try to undercut the 83 and the 56 and get in front.
And you better not take 2 tires. Looking at the lap times here, leader Johnny Thomas, his best lap is a 33.552. His last lap was 35 seconds flat. A second and a half difference.
Yeah.
And this is only, let's see how many laps they've run here. This is 25 laps into the stint. So there's a significant speed difference in those tires, and you cannot afford to take anything less than all 4.
Yeah, definitely not. So, and Ross is starting to losing actually quite a significant bit of time here. Both him and Jadrosich are both 2.3 and 2.6 behind the leaders respectively. So Ross really needs to pick up the pace or do some different strategy because he's really losing out on the 83.
Well, we're closing in now on when you can make it to the end. You could probably pit within the next 5 to 10 laps and make it safely to the end of the race. So if you're Ross, you're definitely going to beat that 83 down to pit lane. But I think as soon as Ross goes, that's going to drag everybody with him.
Yeah, pretty much. So you want to be, remember, you don't want to be the guy left out on the strategy. You want to do it as soon as possible.
Paul Ross beginning to struggle. Last time through a 35-1, which is 2/10 off the leader's pace. And this is surprising because at Chicago a few weeks ago, he drove out to the front of the field and just absolutely dominated, led pretty much every green flag lap in the race, and there was no cautions. So, actually, was there one caution? Might have been one caution. No cautions. But Paul Ross was absolutely dominating there. And the thing is, I know Chicago is a different shaped mile and a half, but if you think about it, the banking, the way the track drives is pretty similar to Miami. So I'm surprised that Ross is struggling this much here.
Yeah, I guess he's just not able to figure this place out as well as the 83 and some of the other drivers have. So, and it's really not helping him. You can see there the 83 and the 56 pretty much taking control of this race. Both pretty much in a handshake agreement to not pass each other and wear out their tires. So they're pretty much sitting pretty 1 and 2.
And I think the other thing that is going to factor in here, Vinny, is the weather conditions here today. Again, let's take another look at our information here. Track temp has raised to 111 degrees. At Chicago a few weeks ago, it was closer to 65.
Yeah.
Which that's a massive speed difference. And I think that might play better into Ross's driving style because when it's cooler temps, you have to do a lot more to get speed out of the truck. It's not, you're not tiptoeing around as much. It's more brute force driving, and that seems to be where Paul Ross is good.
Yeah, that's where we typically see him. Also, we saw him do well at Charlotte, which was also a night race, so that's when the track was cool. So
That's a good point.
yeah, so that's really just seeing different drivers excelling in different conditions. And there we're curling a battle between the 52 of Miller and 75 of Frank Sims the fourth.
And Frank Sims having a decent day here, has not gotten caught up in anything yet, which is good. And James Miller running 11th right now, taking that spot away. Coming down to pit lane, the first driver we see, it looks like he's going to be, actually he's just off, oh no, there he is, 32 laps into the run. So he's coming in to take his final, should be his final stop of the day. Taking that access road, which is mandatory here.
Yeah, and just a little bit of slide as he's going to correct there. Now, does anyone else follow in?
Well, I don't think we're basing it off of the 52 necessarily, but as soon as Paul Ross comes in that 18 truck, that's going to drag the leaders, but Ross stays out this time through. And he's still losing a lot of time, 3 seconds, but that's only about a 2.5 lap difference in green flag runs. If he were to come get fresh tires right now, he'd make that up in 2 laps on the leaders. So start thinking about the undercut, because if he lets those leaders beat him, it's race over.
The only problem that he has to hope really is that the 83 and the 56 and even the 42, for that matter, stay out an extra 2 laps rather than 1. So that's the only thing he's got to worry about in his mind.
So the strategy, all the calculators start ticking away in the pit boxes here. Finney and the crew chiefs are trying to figure out what they want to do. Look at Lytle getting a little bit loose, and Lytle, again, not pushing the issue here with his teammate out front. But Paul Ross now 3.3 seconds. He has not really lost a lot of ground that time through, so I guess the deficit is beginning to stagnate there for Ross. And shouldn't have an issue with making it to the end on fuel, so I think we'll see Ross start to calculate this out and see how, again, there's also the opportunity that if you come earlier in the run, you'll have to fill the truck with less fuel. And sometimes you have to wait on fuel just a little bit with a 4-tire stop. So that to think about as well. But Thomas and Lytle are not going to fight each other here. So Ross has got to do something if he wants to have a shot at this.
Yeah, I was saying, and if the 56 and 83 weren't teammates and if they did start fighting for a position, that probably would have played into Ross's hands as he would have been able to catch up with them. But again, it's not the case, and he's really not going to be enjoying this as he's now 3.4 seconds behind.
Well, I see about 6 seconds up the road. Levi Zielinski running 13th right now. Still kind of hanging in there. If the caution comes out, he might be able to try something crazy, but he's just barely on the lead lap right now, running back in the 13th spot. Obviously, the day went south after that contact on lap 47.
Yeah, again, he's just kind of riding out there, hoping that something happens with the 83 and the 18, and at this point in the race, it's not looking like something like that can happen.
And with the field so spread out, the chance of a yellow dwindles as the laps tick on through here. So Ross now 3.7 back, losing another couple tenths. Working lap 83 here. There's about 20 minutes left in the race here if it goes green, so we're not that far away from the end of this thing. And Thomas and Lytle continue to have a commanding lead over Kevin Jadrosich. Let's talk about him. Again, came into the league here back a couple months ago. And that 42 truck has not really had quite the runs he's been looking for. But here tonight, what a fantastic run. Before even the 22 and the 59 wrecked each other, he has been absolutely on it here right now, sitting in a podium spot. Looking really, really good in that Toyota Tundra here this evening. Whoa, look at Lytle. Finian almost out of control, almost spun it out.
Yeah, he got really loose off the corner. Saved it, though. Lost a little bit of time to the 83.
Paul Ross to pit road. Sorry to interrupt you there, Finian.
No, yeah, so there we go. There's what we're talking about. There's the undercut. Now we got to look at, does the 83 and the 56 respond?
I think they'd be silly not to. I mean, Johnny Thomas, he knows the track position is important. Will he come to pit lane? Looks like he is. Here he comes. So Paul Ross did not get sneak through the 83's radar there, and Thomas and Lytle will come to pit lane. But with this access road here, Finian, this is a tricky way to enter pit lane, and there's a lot of speed to be gained if you can make time on it.
Yeah, gotta say, you gotta pretty much apex it as best as you can. Also, make sure you don't make a mistake entering pit road.
Lytle barely makes it into pit lane. Wow.
Yeah, great job. I was probably a little more aggressive than he probably would have liked. But yeah, now we gotta watch now. All right, here comes Paul Ross. He's gonna exit, and he's gonna try to gain as much time as possible on this exit road and go as fast as possible out on the track to try to make up some time. But the question is it enough time? I don't think so.
I don't think he's going to get enough. He'll certainly get about a second or so, but the question now becomes, when do Johnny Thomas and Lytle fire off a pit lane? It looks like they've got looks like Lytle's got the right sides up. Thomas is working on the lefts, and there they go. They're peeling off right now. And where is the 18 of Paul Ross out of turn 4? Here he comes, Finney, and it's going to be close.
Yeah, it's going to be close. It's going to definitely be close indeed, and they pretty much had identical pit road times, so this is going to be purely off of getting time on the track. So here comes Paul Ross gunning out of the corner.
Ross made up a ton of time here, Finney, and the undercut is just about going to work. Paul Ross is going to take over a position from Johnny Thomas in the championship sways just like that.
Wow, so Ross definitely had to make up some time of some sort of entry. Yeah,
and he had a slower pit stop too.
Yeah, so he definitely made it up probably on entry and exit of pit road itself. And on the track too, so fantastic job by Ross playing that to a T.
Wow, that
he's going
was
to take
impressive.
the lead, yeah.
And we mentioned before the race here, Finney, that pit road was going to be important. I didn't think we'd see the pass for the lead, or for what will eventually be the lead down there. It looks like Tate Lytle lost a bunch of time down there in pit lane. Not sure what that was all about. Looked like it was lost on pit road, and a very slow pit stop for that 56 as well, taking him out of contention for the time being.
Yeah, so it looks like we're going to have a race on our hands, ladies and gentlemen, for this championship. It's not going to go without a fight. We saw that Ross is struggling a little bit on the longer run.
And
so
we have
Johnny,
a long way to go, too.
Yeah, and Thomas is going to try to do everything he can now to get ahead of him. This is the fight for the championship right here.
Lap 88 of 117. We have a long ways to go in this race, and it looks like Thomas has been quicker over the course of the race, but can Ross hang on with the track position, with the aero and any kind of blocking he can do? You're going to absolutely 100% block. You are not trying to make friends out here tonight. This is going for the championship. All bets, all friendships are off here in the closing stages of Homestead.
There you see also in frame as well. There you see Levi Zielinski out ahead of these guys. He is currently ahead of them at the moment, but he still has yet to make his pit stop.
He will need to come down to pit lane, so he's got 40 laps on that set of tires and that tank of fuel, so we'll see him here coming here shortly.
And I think he's pretty much just banking on a caution to come out. It's his only saving grace at this point.
Yeah, Richard Hines currently leading the race, but jump back, Paul Ross, and you see Zielinski pulling over, heading down to pit lane. So 0.3 of a second separating Johnny Thomas and Paul Ross again. Thomas had been pretty much commandingly leading that race until the pit stops, and that, I guess it was really the access roads where Paul Ross made up all that ground, but he's going to have to hold off Johnny Thomas, who's really been probably the second or third quickest truck of the race. I'd probably give that title to Tate Lytle in that 56 truck, but lost some track position on pit lane.
Yeah, so Lytle's going to have to try to race around Jadricic and then catch up to these guys. So I think he's kind of out of contention at the moment for the win. But he's still currently going to be effectively fourth as soon as these pit stops cycle out. We're still waiting on Richard Hines to come down to pit road to complete the cycle.
Out of turn 4. Now, how hard does Johnny Thomas drive here, Finney? He's got about 1 lap fresher tires, but that's not going to make much of a whole lot of a difference. So what do you run? What lines are you running now? Are you running high lane and trying to carry that momentum, or running the low lane to shorten the track up?
I think you gotta, if I was Thomas, I would run the higher lanes just to save a little bit more tire and kind of let Paul Ross start to use up his stuff on the inside, and then wait for him to use up his stuff and then pass on the outside. Because we saw that Thomas was faster on the longer run, so I think he should try to play to his strength in that department.
And we see Thomas pushing up a little bit later in the corner here, and it's closed up just a little bit, 0.2 of a second. Richard Hines is pulling off into pit lane this time through here, Finian, so that's going to leave these guys to do battle here at lap 92. We're closing in on the 20 lap to go mark here at Homestead to finish out the 2018 Nathan Young Designs Truck Series season. Remember, we've covered since race 5 at Mount Panorama, and right out of the gate there was a lot of action, but over the course of the summer, the cars that showed their strength were the 83, the 18, the 22, and the 59, and with the damage and contact earlier between the 22 and 59, it's left Paul Ross and Johnny Thomas to do battle here at Homestead.
And they're bumper to bumper. It's an active fight for the championship here and for the win, as they've effectively taken the race lead. It's all down to them now with about 25 laps to go left in this race.
You see Thomas running a little bit higher mid-corner and pulling it down on exit once more, and he's going to have a great run on the 18 down the back straightaway. Does the 18 defend, or does the 18 even, or excuse me, the 83 even come out? A push down the back straightaway into turn 3.
Yeah, it looked like more of an I'm here push more than anything else into the corners. It looks like Thomas is just trying to put on some pressure on Paul Ross, because Ross is now in the defensive position. He has a slightly older tires, but Thomas is a little bit faster than him at the moment.
Now, how much of this is head games here, Finney? And if you're Paul Ross, how do you not let that 83 get into your head? Because I think Johnny Thomas knows he's going to be quicker in the long run, so he can kind of afford to mess with the head, get in the mirror, and play some games here.
I would say for Paul Ross, just look straight ahead and just don't even bother looking back, and just making sure that he drives his own line and tries to save as much of his tires to minimize the fall off later on.
I think focusing on his race is exactly what he needs to do here. If you let the 83 intimidate you, look at the 18 loose off of turn 4. They're driving hard here, Finian. No doubt about that. And we're lap number 95 here, beginning to count the laps down, but 1.5 tenths separating the top 2.
Yeah, and it's still really close, and I think Thomas is going to try to just bide his time at the moment and wait for when it's easier to pass Paul Ross, because definitely Paul Ross is going to put up a fight. This is all for all the marbles here, this one pass, so he's not going to make it easy in any way, shape, or form. So the 83 is just going to try to make him use up his stuff so he can get around, have an easier time getting around Paul Ross.
And what an elevated game by Johnny Thomas. I mean, we mentioned it. He has not had the raw pace the last couple of weeks that the other 3 in the Championship 4 have had. But here tonight, when it counts, when it matters, he is driving like a machine right now. He is connected to that steering wheel and that motor and absolutely getting all that he can out of an 83 Chevrolet. And here he is now chasing Paul Ross off of turn 2. Got a great run. He's going to look to the inside. Here comes Johnny Thomas.
He's got a quarter panel in there. He's going to dive now into 3. Question is, does he have enough to get ahead of Paul Ross? I think Ross has still got the momentum.
Ross going to roll out high lane here, but you got to watch the slipperiness on corner exit. And off the corner they come. They're still side by side. Ross has the momentum, but can the 83 side draft? Doesn't look like he's going to be able to, and he'll tuck back under the spoiler.
Yeah, so there was the attempt by Johnny Thomas, and it didn't have any bites. He's just going to have to kind of build that momentum back up again and make another run at it.
Here he goes to the high side now, trying to get a little bit of a run down the back straightaway. To the inside, back up behind him, trying to play with the mirror of that 18. Get him looking out there. Get him distracted before he drives off into the corner.
Yeah, again, we talk about, you might be thinking it's all driving pace, but no, it's a lot of mind games as well. You see Ross now loose on the top side.
Sliding! Almost contact with the 83. That was very close there. We almost had a similar situation, but there's a lead change now. Johnny Thomas takes it over. 20 laps to go here at Homestead.
And there you see Ross got to try to get on a little bit too early on the throttle, and he's going to pay the price there as the 83 of Thomas has the lead.
Now, is that all she wrote? Can Paul Ross come back on Johnny Thomas? Now, we've seen Thomas's speed in the long run be superior to that of Paul Ross's, but is that one little mistake going to cost Ross? I mean, he had played that pit strategy so well here, Finian is 20 laps away from a championship, and Ross has arguably had the better season, and he's going to watch it slowly slip away as Johnny Thomas gets up on that wheel.
Well, best thing he can do right now is get his head down, just look at that 83 and just follow where he's going, trying to see, where is he better, where is he worse, and keep in mind of that, and also just try to save on anything he has for one last final shot.
He drove in deep off into turn 1, made up some time here, Finney, but he's going to lose it on corner exit. And I think he's got to start playing the game that Thomas did and start aiming for corner exit speed rather than entry.
Also up ahead, notably, we do have some lap traffic, so I wonder if depending where these guys catch them, he might be able to do what
Ross is loose.
He might be able to do what Short tried to do to Zielinski and use the lap cars as a pick.
I just don't think Ross has the rear grip available to him, Finian, and Thomas begins to extend that lead now to 0.4 of a second. And with 18 laps to go, things have suddenly gone south for Paul Ross. He had it under his thumb there for a couple moments after the pit stop sequence, but he's seeing that 83 truck get smaller and smaller in the front windshield.
Yeah, I'm sure Ross would love to see it get larger in his windshield, but he's currently struggling on these set of tires. It just seems that Thomas is able to take care a little bit better of his equipment. Last time by, Thomas was a tenth faster, and even this time by, he was about almost 2 tenths faster a lap.
I want to take a look at Dylan Hickey in his number 7, running top 5 right now. So a great run for him here tonight. Mike Stevens running in 6th in that 63 truck with Morris behind him. So Hickey and Stevens having career nights here tonight. Look at Levi Zielinski still hanging on to 13th in that damaged truck, just trying to bring it home.
I was going to say, he's currently the only car a lap down. Everyone else is over. So he could be in potential of getting a free pass, but I think at this point it's not going to do him much at this moment.
Looking back up front, 6 tenths separate the leaders now. Thomas is beginning to just extend his lead. Ross was actually a tick quicker that time through, but I don't think a tick is going to get you the championship. You got to be a lot quicker to chase down Johnny Thomas as the laps begin to wind down. About 8.5 minutes left in this race here, Finney, and Johnny Thomas has been the dominant force here since the leaders, the 22, the Peter Short, and the 59, Levi Zielinski, made contact back on lap 47.
Yeah, and ever since then, the championship picture just flipped on its head as the 83 and the 18, who were arguably, and this is not trying to bag at them, the arguably the weaker of the contenders at the moment, not by much. It just completely reversed as the two strongest trucks were taken out, and then these two guys were left to battle, and Thomas looking right now like the favorable one.
And I think Ross has got to figure out turn 4. He's been slipping there several times the last couple laps and heating up those rear tires. You're not going to chase down Johnny Thomas doing that, so he's got to adjust his line. You see him entering so low here in turn 3, Finian. I think that's what's hurting his exit, is he's drifting up on corner exit, getting the tires up in the marbles, and watch him off turn 4. A little bit loose there again.
Yeah, I think just trying to run lower is just going to start using up his tires more and more, and he doesn't have much tire to really use at this point. But actually, notably, that last time by, he was just a little bit slower than Thomas, but he needs to be a little bit faster or even more.
He needs to start taking chunks out of Johnny Thomas's lead, but Thomas has to deal with some lap traffic. There's the 39 of David Wilson just in front of him.
Wilson's going to say hi, and Thomas has to go low, and Thomas has been running a higher line, and Ross notably a lower one. So we'll see how this plays out here.
And how much will that cost the 83, if anything? And Ross was able to take a higher line through the corner, and looked like he made up a little bit of ground that time through, about a couple hundredths of a second.
Yeah, so right now it's just kind of a matter of a way of how fast does the traffic get out of the way between both of them as they catch them at different parts of the track.
If the 83 is forced to take the bottom more often than not, that could bring Ross back into the picture, but as long as Thomas can run the line he wants, it's not going to matter. You see Kyle Hanshaw there pulling off the side. He has not had a phenomenal night, sitting there back in 12th, one lap down. We haven't really seen a whole lot of him at all. I think it's the first time we've actually had a camera on him tonight.
Yeah, I would say he's been having a pretty quiet night, running in 12th. Not having the best of days, but he's probably going to be looking at this point towards next season.
Half a second separate the leaders now. Ross was quicker that time through as well. So I think the lap traffic is Ross's friend, looking down at that relative on his monitor. He's got to be thinking, Finian, 12 laps to go. I'm running out of time, but it's 4.5 tenths. He is closing. It's going to have to be a little bit more than that, I think, though.
And it looked like he's starting to run a little bit of a higher line now to use that outside momentum to his advantage.
Oh,
and
that
it's
was really high. He's going to
him.
be in the wall, Finian. That's going to lose him a lot of ground.
Yeah, he's going to be off the wall. He's going to dive down below, and that's, I think, his run pretty much over at this point.
If it stays green, I think that puts it squarely in the hands of Johnny Thomas, Finian. Ross loose off the corner, gets into the wall, and there's going to be some right side damage to that truck.
And right now he currently has to worry about the 42, Kevin Jadricic. Now he's got to run on the 18, and if he gets around him, it's kind of game over.
Ross has done everything he could have tonight. Just from the beginning of the race, did not quite have the pace that to keep up with the other three guys, and obviously after that crash with the 22 and the 59, it put him really in a much better spot than he otherwise would have been. So it's probably going to be a better night than if the 22 and 59 had stayed here, but got to be looking at this as a disappointing end of the season, especially after his dominance a couple weeks ago at Chicago.
Yeah, again, 3 wins for Paul Ross and doing fantastic pretty much everywhere else. And now it's all come down to this, and he's going to be the guy finishing second in the championship.
Remember, Johnny Thomas has 1 win on the season, so what an ending that it would be for him to walk in here so quietly under the cover of darkness and taking one away as Ross is loose in turn 4 again, really struggling with the handling.
Yeah, he's loose, and that's allowed Jadricic now to catch back up as he looks to the inside of Ross.
3 seconds back from the lead. I'm not even really sure this matters all that much, Finian.
Yeah, I think Ross is going to try to hang on to at least second to finish out the night on somewhat of a high note. Again, just got to be disappointed just after a whole year of fighting and doing a fantastic job. Had a first round bye, was finished at the top of the standings, and to have it just all crumble here at the end, it's got to be really unfortunate for him.
The only thing that'll save him now is a yellow, but with the laps beginning to wind down, the chances for that are going to dwindle as well. And with only 13 trucks currently running on the track, all separated by a couple seconds each, I don't think that's likely. So Thomas now leads by 3.1 seconds over Paul Ross as the battle for second heats up with Jadricic chasing down Ross.
Yeah, it looks like Jadricic had quite a bit of a run, has kind of fallen off a bit, has been able to make the pass on Ross, so it looks like Ross might be able to hold off second place.
Let's talk about Johnny Thomas a little bit.
Yeah, I think we do. Honestly, in all honesty, I think he probably had the smallest chance of winning it out of the 4 going in. I think on raw pace alone, looking at the 18, the 22, and the 59, I think they were the faster trucks overall. But he really surprised me tonight. He put on the big boy pants
again,
and went out there and just ran his heart out.
Where did it come from? I mean, before the 22 and 59 wrecked, he still could have been easily leading this race. And as I mentioned, he was very fast at Eldora, won that race, and has been extremely quick on especially the dirt tracks here. But Johnny Thomas has just quietly snuck in here. I did not expect to see him out of the 4 trucks here. Again, I agree with you. Probably the least likely to win it just based on statistics, but here he is tonight, proving us all wrong. He's got this place dialed in and is driving away with 6 laps to go.
Yeah, and again, it'll be a really great win for him. He's only, again, going to have only 2 wins this season if he comes across the line first within 6 laps. But, I mean, it's going to be the best victory of his career here at 3-Wide.
If you're going to win a race, it better be the last race. I mean, again, we thought you're going to have to come in here and win. It looks like you still are with Ross running second. You're going to have to win this race if you want to win the championship. And with 5 laps to go now, Johnny Thomas has this squarely in his hands. And the only thing that can take it away right now is a caution. But if he gets around one more time, it's race over regardless. Through turns 1 and 2 now. That Johnny Thomas Racing Chevrolet has had success, especially on the dirt here this season. I think that's probably playing into his hands here a little bit, Finian. The slippery conditions might be why the 83 is running so well here tonight.
Yeah, I think it is. It's just played into his own. And I mean, again, we talked about a ton. He's good at the dirt tracks, and I guess this kind of plays into his favor, just having that control on the dirt.
And rim riding the outside.
Yeah.
I mean, this is, I hate to say there's a cushion up there, but there really is a cushion that if you jump, in terms of the grip level, if you get too high, you'll get into the wall. If you're not up high enough, you're not going to have any speed. So this is really playing into his strengths here tonight, and with 4 laps to go, 3.3 seconds over Paul Ross. He's running away with it, and it's a great time to be fast here this evening.
And we've seen him, and you know, we've seen it we've seen Kyle Larson in real life.
Yeah,
he's good.
Very similar. I was just about to mention that, actually.
He's good on the dirt, and he was also really good at Homestead riding outside line. And Johnny Thomas is pretty much taking that mantle up.
Now Paul Ross again loose off of turn 4. That has been his struggle zone here tonight. Kevin Jadrosic trying to take that spot away. Look at Ross all the way up against that outside lane, up against the wall, trying to make something happen out there to hold off the 42. And I was wondering if Ross can hold on to this now. He's going to only have 2 laps left to hang on. Once Johnny Thomas gets back to the line, the lap truck there of the 52. That's James Miller. And Ross is going to get squeezed here on corner exit between the 2 trucks. Maybe get a draft off the 52. 2 laps to go. Ross pulls down in front of Jadrosic. Ross is tight through the middle of the corner here, Finney. This is going to be sacrificing second place, I believe, if the 42 can complete it.
Yeah, he's going to try to do his best, but Ross has got the run, and that almost he almost got into the 52 there.
Down the back straightaway, the 42 of Jadrosic to the inside of Paul Ross, trying to take the second spot away. But up front, 1 final lap remains in the 2018 Nathan Young Designs Truck Series season. Johnny Thomas gets there first. 1 more lap, 1.5 miles to collect the championship trophy and a victory. Meanwhile, for second, Jadrosic and Paul Ross running side by side through 1 and 2. Can Paul Ross hang on to the second spot off the corner?
And it looks like he's just going to be able to. I don't think Ross has much to give him at this point.
Through turns 3 and 4. It's been a heck of a season here, but Johnny Thomas is going to round the final corner and collect his second victory and his first championship here in the 2018 season, and he's going to win it at Homestead Miami and take it home. And what a victorious night for that 83 truck. Walked in here the underdog and the quiet, stealthy truck here, Finian, and is going to walk away with a championship trophy.
Yeah, he is a past champion in the 2015 B Series here at 3-Wide, so this is going to be his second championship with them. So again, just solid job all season long. And the 42, Kevin Jadrosic is going to finish second, and Paul Ross is going to come home in third, rounding out your top 3.
And there's the teammates there celebrating. Tate Lytle driving up there, and Lytle's came home 4th place, so not a bad night for Lytle, although he had more pace than where he finished. Johnny Thomas, though, again, what a season for him. I mean, he walked in here, as I said, the underdog, and is going to walk out a champion. I think this truck, you're going to burn it down. Not using it anymore. Celebrations.
I was going to say, he doesn't have to use it for almost another 4 or 5 months, so burn it down now.
Celebrations for the 83 team and Johnny Thomas Racing. A Truck Series championship. A second win of the season, and there he is now celebrating. That'll be in the headlines tomorrow. And I just got a feel for Paul Ross, and especially for Zielinski. Zielinski walked in here looking like he was going to be an easy shot to have a chance at the victory. Again, collected on that 47 incident with Peter Short, and was unable to contend with Ross and Thomas. But Ross gave it everything he had. He was driving the heck out of that truck, Finney, and he almost had too. The pit stop strategy was played out perfectly, but just one little slip up, and Johnny Thomas took advantage of it. And no mistakes from Thomas tonight. Just a flawless race from start to finish. Didn't speed on pit road. Didn't do anything wrong. You see him damaging the truck there. That's going to be a little damage for the photos. But
I was going to say, he pretty much had that truck was, I think, pretty much spotless. I don't think he hit a single truck that night.
No, and avoided the wreck with Zielinski and Short. And continuing to do burnouts here, Finian. But we're going to jump to break in a few minutes here. We'll have Johnny Thomas and others to talk about the championship night here in Homestead. Welcome back live here to Sim TV. We're here with second place finisher Kevin Jadricic. And Kevin, you put on a heck of a show tonight. The speed finally found here this evening and just beat out Paul Ross for second place. Tell us about your night.
Oh man, it was definitely a hard race for sure. A lot of throttle control, a lot of through the corners. It took me a second to figure it out, but once I figured it out, I was able to kind of control the truck out of the corners and gain some speed.
We were watching the multi-groove racing kind of take off, especially about 20 laps into the run, and we saw a couple of drivers, including Paul Ross, driving into the corner in turn 3 a little bit lower. But where was your favorite line? Was it up against the wall, down in the middle, or right along that white line?
No, in 3 and 4, I think I preferred the middle line there. I mean, I tried the high line. I don't know if I was just getting on the throttle too soon or just too much gas, but I just felt like I was getting loose there. And even if I went low, felt like I was getting loose. Felt like that sweet spot was that middle line for me.
All right, Kevin. Well, certainly a great way to end the season here And hopefully we'll see you back next season because you finally turned on the heat, and here you are sitting inside the top 3 with a second-place finishes. Congratulations.
Hey, thank you, man.
All right, we'll see you later. All right, next on the list is going to be Levi Zielinski, driver the number 59. And Levi, we know there's a lot of disappointment in your camp right now. Had a lot of speed here this evening and caught up in a wreck on lap 47.
Yeah, man. Yeah, a lot of emotions, man. Definitely a heartbreaking one. Practice, we definitely felt like we had the best truck out there. We went out first practice and just did the fuel run to see where we can go, and kind of narrowed down. We knew we could make. Basically, the strategy was if it went green all the way, it was just to pit on lap 39 each time. Fortunately, that didn't happen. We got the lead on that first pit stop though, which was nice. We knew we needed to do something, so we were able to get out in front of Peter, and from there, man, we were pretty fast. We knew we were faster than Peter on that first stint. It was just a matter of trying to get around him. But once I started protecting that high side, man, the car was fast. The truck was fast all night. I mean, we probably had the best truck out there, I feel like, and I'm pretty confident saying that we probably should have won this tonight.
Well, it was certainly a great season regardless. Looking back on it, I want to ask you one thing, and is there any regrets coming into Homestead? Anything you could have done different? Maybe running a little bit farther in the back, kind of planning out, or maybe letting Short have the line. Is there anything that you might have done differently here to change how the season ended?
Yeah, thinking of the last, I guess, 70 laps, and I was telling Dylan, I was just like, man, I guess I probably should have just let him go at that point and not fight him on the outside. But, I mean, when you're fighting for a championship and had the season we've had, I mean, you're going to try to do anything you can do to win. I mean, we had to play offensive tonight, and we had the best truck. It just sucks to be taken out by that, especially, I don't know, it's just me and Peter have not had the best year together, I guess, apparently, because been a lot of leeway, and I mean, still give them leeway and we still get wrecked by them, so I don't know. Sucks.
All right, well, certainly some disappointment, but walking away third in the championship battle. Not a season to keep your head down over. It was certainly a good one, and looking forward to the future. Thanks for talking to us, Levi.
Yeah, thanks, Kyle.
Have a good night.
Yep.
Next driver to talk to will be Paul Ross, driver the number 18. And Paul, you're just one spot short of holding that championship trophy tonight. Just struggled on the long run. Tell us about your evening.
First off, want to say congratulations, Johnny. It was a good season, good hard-fought battle at this race, and definitely had the faster truck and prevailed. As for our night, it started off a little bit slow. I tried going into like a tire conservation mode that first run, thinking it may go green, and it seemed like they were still just pulling away after 20 laps or so. So we started pushing a little bit harder at the beginning of the runs, but once you got the back tires hot, it was just real greasy coming off of 4, and that's where Johnny was making up so much time on us, was through the middle of 3 and 4 and then off of 4. Seemed like he could get the power down a lot more than I could.
Well, it certainly was an incredible season. You're going to walk away with 3 wins to your name, and 2 of them came later in the season. What was the difference between Chicagoland a few weeks ago and Homestead here tonight? Was it the temperature? Is it the layout of the track? Because they're both 1.5 miles. I know they're very different, but what was so different about the domination we saw a couple weeks ago and coming up just 1 spot short here this evening?
Yeah, definitely the temp. I believe the track temp tonight was 110. It was just real slick, where at Chicagoland, the track had just unreal grip throughout an entire run. So my biggest thing, I would have to say that it was the track temp. It's just 2 completely different animals. One was a little bit tight. This one was extremely loose. Homestead is one of my favorite tracks. I've won here, I want to say 6 or 7 times in the league. So we're hoping to get first and take home the championship, but it wasn't meant to be, and we have tomorrow night to try to get that championship. So
yeah, speaking about tomorrow night, is there anything that you learned here this evening that will transition over to the Cup car? I know they're very different beasts, but what can you carry over from the truck?
Just trying to save the tires, especially coming off of 4. We ran a practice on Thursday night.
I think tomorrow's temperature is supposed to be about a degree hotter. Same overcast, same everything. About 2 laps into a run in the Cup car, it feels like these trucks with about 20 laps on them. So we just need to keep the right rear underneath of it and not get it hot, and we should be good.
All right. Well, again, congratulations, a second place finish in the championship here tonight, and hopefully a win for you tomorrow. Catch that race live on 3Wide TV tomorrow night. But thanks for talking to us, Paul. It was good to see you have a nice shot at it here this evening.
Yeah, thanks, and thanks for broadcasting these races for us this season. It's been fun to go back and watch.
All right. Thanks a lot, Paul. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too. Next one in the booth here, Finian, is going to be our champion, the 83 of Johnny Thomas. What a night for you. Walked in here, we got to say, we saw you walk in here probably as the underdog here this evening. 1 win on the season, but you're going to walk out with 2 wins and a championship trophy. Tell us how it all went down.
Yeah, how about that? The underdog ended up pulling it out. I'm pumped up, man. I don't practice for these things, and I didn't put any time into the race today. I just figured I'd jump on at 9:10 and see what we had, and we had a really fast truck. I was really surprised. Even before the Peter and Levi incident, we were right there with them, and I knew if I could somehow do pit strategy or something to get by them, it was so hard to pass here that I could probably hold them off. And that incident with them it kind of made my day a little bit easier. I knew I was faster than Paul in the long runs. He beat me out on pit road. He pitted a lap earlier than me, but man, I'm so pumped up. This is cool. I haven't won a championship in I don't know. It's probably been about 4 years, and I didn't think I'd ever win one again in 3 wide. But man, this year has been incredible. I'm so pumped up.
Well, again, we can tell you're excited, but one of the things that surprised us was when Paul Ross beat you off pit lane. You were right up there with him, but tell us about your thought process there, chasing him down with about 25, 30 laps to go. Was it an immediate, I need to get by him right now, or were you just kind of biding your time waiting for him to make a mistake?
I didn't think Paul was going to make a mistake. He normally doesn't make mistakes like those. I knew I was faster than him after about 10 to 20 laps, and I knew we had about 25 laps to go on that pit strategy. So I was just going to try to ride behind him and try to get a run. I was really, really awesome in 3 and 4 on that bottom groove right by the yellow line. And if I get beside him going into 3, I'd probably clear him off of 4. And I think we cleared him with about 18 laps to go. And I knew I kind of had it there. He started catching me, but I think he was pushing it a little too hard. And then he whacked the wall with about 8 to go.
Looking forward to seasons in the future, what is the greatest thing that you learned over the course of the season here in 2018?
Oh my, great that I'm back. I'm back. I can't believe it. These last 2 years I've sucked. I've been horrible. and so this year I made it. I thought I was done after this year. I thought I was going to call it quits and end it, and kind of hang out with like you guys with 3Wide TV and do the TV stuff. But after this year, I had so much fun. I'm going to continue on next year. This is a great class, a great group of guys, and they're all fast. And this truck series schedule to win a championship in this season and this truck series for 3Wide is amazing because of the tracks we went to. We went to dirt. We went to road courses that we should never have gone to, but it was sweet. And I won a dirt race. I won this race. I contended at I think Monza or whatever that track is. But it's just been super fun, and I'm thrilled to get it done here and win a championship. I didn't think I had it in me, but we got it done.
All right, well, drink that champagne, enjoy your championship. That was obviously very well earned there. That last 35, 40 laps, running down Paul Ross, passing him for the lead, and winning the race. Johnny Thomas, your 2018 champion. Go celebrate, buddy.
Thanks, guys, and thank you guys for doing this all year, and then hopefully in the next year.
Absolutely. Thanks again, Johnny, and have a good night.
Thanks.
All right, Finian. Well, that was quite the race we watched there tonight. And, of course, you got a feel for the other 3 guys. All had kind of unfortunate circumstances surrounding their losses here this evening. But Johnny Thomas just absolutely, when it counted the most, came in here, throttled up, and took the win away from Paul Ross.
Yeah, I would say he had to work for it too. It wasn't like it came easy. He had to end up passing Paul Ross with just over 20 laps to go. He bided his time. He did everything to a T. Again, like we said before, hadn't made a mistake all night and continued with that and won the race. So and the championship overall. So again, great job by Johnny Thomas for this race. And again, all season again, very quiet, methodically just finishing nice, getting those finishes in, making his way to this Final Four and executing.
And looking forward to next season. I think Peter Short's looking for redemption. Matt Gruenberg, of course, a threat to be contended with next season. But from Miami-Dade County and the Homestead Miami Speedway, I'm Kyle Heyer here with Finney DeCuna from SimTV. We'll be with you with Integrity's Truck Series League on Tuesday night, and we'll see you. Have a great night. Thanks for watching.